Welcome to another episode of Nights at the Brown Table, a podcast of three Pacific Islanders sharing our views and the lens through which we see the world. I'm Sefa.
I'm Sila.
To the vast intellect space of the interwebs and the songstress, teamstress, mistress, mattress of this generation, who is also sometimes claims some German and Chinese heritage, and is also a photographer and speaks Japanese and Korean, and is now a dancing queen of this entire hemisphere. Lamah, hi.
I love that. It just keeps getting longer and longer.
Why the hemisphere, not the world?
Well, you know, you got to start small and humble, because I'm a very
Southern
humble.
Hemisphere, we're focusing there.
I'm a very humble person.
Wow.
So I decided just to take on the hemisphere so far.
Mm-hmm.
Paris is already taking over the world at the moment, so I'm just letting sis
Let it rain for a little longer until you come up.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that's right. And that's that. That's that on that.
That's on period.
This week's episode, we are talking about call-out culture. Call-out culture, as defined in Cambridge Dictionary, is a way of behaving in a society or group in which people are often criticized in public, for example, on social media, for their words or actions, or asked to explain them. What are your initial thoughts? Go.
I don't know how I feel about call-out culture. I thought it was cancel culture, and then I looked as to what cancel culture means, and they said cancel culture are usually people who have some kind of power or who are famous or who have like good standing in the community, like for example if they're a politician or whatnot. And so then they said that the difference with call-out culture is when people take on the responsibility of, oh, I'm going to call you out. So it could be anyone. So for me, I don't know, because I'm very for the whole thing of holding people accountable, but at the same time, have we given them space to be able to plead their case, or have we given them space to be able to learn and grow as well? So I don't know how I feel about it.
How does one actually identify when someone needs to be called out? So, like, when are you? Because I'm trying to think of being the person who is thinking, okay, I'm going to call someone out. Like, what are the actions? What are the actions that I would take personally to the point where I'm like, okay, this person needs to be called out. I'm going to go on my Twitters, my Instagrams, and now I'm going to unleash.
Because I think call-out culture is different to like when you're in a group of friends. Am I wrong? Like when you're with friends and you do the whole thing of, oh, but I'm going to call it out, and then you'll talk to them if something doesn't sit right. But in reference to call-out culture, I think it's when they're saying when you put it up on social media. So, for example, like that kid a few weeks ago where people said that had accused him of being a sexual predator and had accused him of sexual assault. And then someone had put up his name, his birth date, like so his full name, a picture of him.
So that's, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and so for me, and then there were people who had come forward saying, oh, he's this, this, and this. And for me, I was like, that's a prime example of call-out culture where it's like we've become vigilantes or social media vigilantes. At the same time, I was just like, is this a good thing? Because then other girls who may have been victims, they could feel empowered to be like, okay, I'm going to come forward. I'm not the only one. What he's done is wrong.
Because there are clear benefits to it with what you're saying, as in things that are done in the dark or in secret can now come to light. But is call-out culture a mob mentality? Or is it a long overdue way of speaking truth to power? What's the balance for it? And my thoughts on it, I'm with you in regards to being somewhat in the middle, because there's good and there's bad. Individuals who may have felt alone or that may have fallen victim to something that they were completely unaware that it happened to other people, they can now relate and they can come forward and things can be resolved. At the same time, it's hard to stop an avalanche when it's already going. With that fella, the kid that you're talking about, who was called out for being a sexual predator, I don't know if it's ever coming back, because that was shared like crazy. Yeah.
And was that verified? Because my thing is, to the extent of how much are we going to have this mob mentality to the point where it's like, oh, he's actually not the person. Like, how do we know? How do we verify the facts and what's being said? Because there have been instances in the media where sometimes someone has been called out and then it's the wrong person. Yeah. Or someone's been doxxed and then it's the wrong person. But it's too late by then, because everybody's already has this picture to this action and now they're like called out.
Yeah. Like, it reminds me of, like, you know how a few episodes when we were talking about the lady in Central Park, and lucky that guy was able to video record it, but him posting it up, she was called out for her being racist, for her racist behavior. At the time, she didn't think that it was. And then I remember later on, people were saying that she was saying, oh, I'm a Democrat and whatnot. And so for me, it's the whole thing of, there's the benefit of people are held accountable, but then there's the con of, for example, like you were just saying, like, has it been verified? Like, is this person like an actual, are they guilty of what they're being accused of? And I don't know.
Well, I don't think it is. Often when it is with call-out culture online, it's you're guilty until you're proven innocent, rather than innocent until proven guilty. And though sometimes the process of being innocent first until proven guilty is frustrating and sometimes seems unfair, because people who are often guilty have been let off, whether it's in actual courts of law or whether it's in social settings or with their careers, but both come with a sacrifice, whether it's guilty people getting away with it, or on the opposite side, what Lamah had brought up, innocent people being charged as guilty when they're not. Both are flawed because humans are flawed.
With that saying that you're guilty until proven innocent, then if you're proven innocent, then and you've lost everything. Yeah. Like that's
it's like it's too late.
It's too late.
Like when it comes to certain things where, like, for example, sexual assault, that's serious. And I think for so long, a lot of the time, victims are the ones that are held guilty until it's proven that whatever happened to them happened. And I think, like, right now, hence why the whole question of, is it mob mentality or is it a long overdue way of speaking truth to power, where for so long a lot of victims have felt powerless, hence why they're just like, oh, finally we're going to fight back and, you know, we're going to post it up or whatever. With the guy that was put up on Instagram, later people were messaging the person that had put it up, and so different girls had said, this is a screenshot, this is him sexually harassing me. Other girls had just then gone on to confess about their own personal experiences with sexual assault. And for me, I was just like, oh, I could just see how it triggered a lot of different things as well. Yeah. And so when it comes to call-out culture, I think, like, especially when we're putting up things of, oh, this person is a predator and whatnot, there should always be trigger warnings as well. But I'm all for holding people accountable. The whole thing of...
Where does it cross the line?
Yeah.
And I'm the same too. You best believe I'm always about holding people accountable.
Call it out.
I've been saying that since day one, schools. Yeah. But that's the frustration I have too. It's like, yes, we should hold people accountable, but where is that line that's drawn where it's too late, or where it's not, where it does more damage than good?
So it might come down to intent. Like what you had shared. Something that is written here is those who are in support of call-out culture see it as a form of social activism, in the sense that the person calling out someone is ultimately trying to either stop the behavior they deem to be negative or prevent it from happening again. That if that's the intent, that is awesome. I don't know if it always stays that way, especially with a mob mentality, if everybody's jumping in. Yeah. Sometimes when those street fights emerge that emerge online of like kids in the schoolyard, and they're just like, oh, everybody's a dog shot, and it's like, but if we switch that to a metaphor online, a lot of us dog shot people online if we're going to flip it to that mentality. So I think with intent, there's those that really just want it to stop, and that's cool. Like we look at situations like with Harvey Weinstein, but then I'm not saying there's redemption for that dude. I'm not advocating for him. Let's make that clear. But the intent of the people needs to be... Yeah. I think that's where the line is what is the intent of the person? If you just want to see them suffer, I was like, in some situations, maybe that might be applicable. Like with that dude sexually harassing people. It's not up to me to speak whether that person can find redemption. That's between him, God, and the people he preyed upon, but in a general sense, the intent is important as to why are you doing this? What are you doing it for?
So I have this, because I feel like a lot of the examples that we're talking about are very extreme circumstances. So I'm thinking of like lesser
like
extreme circumstances that are where people have been caught out.
Yeah.
Because then I think the context of the conversation kind of changes in that way.
Yeah, it does.
The one I can think of, and this is something that's in my world of photography, was especially with the whole Black Lives movements, the Black Lives Matters and whatnot that was going on. There was a photographer who called out a bunch of photographers saying things like, oh, where's the diversity in your feed? Like, what are you doing? Where are you donating your time? Like, where's your action? Like, advocate. So Sis was calling all these people out, not knowing that these people were doing their own things.
Behind the scenes.
Yeah, behind the scenes. And it got to the point where Sis deleted her Instagram profile.
Which one? The one that was
the one that made the post. Because then people retaliated at her saying, like, why are you trying to turn police other people? Like, you do not know who these people are personally. Are you checking out what they're doing? Have you asked them? Have you DM'd them? What course of action are you taking, aside from you just wanting to call people out that are just popular on the internet? I mean, I guess it kind of benefited in the long end because Sis deleted her Instagram.
She got cancelled.
People called her out instead. But that's what I mean. I'm like, because when I saw that, I was like, but who are you? Like, who are you to call someone out?
But I think that's the thing was, in her effort to call out others, she didn't take into account like everyone else and what they were actually doing. It's just that not everyone is public about stuff. Which
goes to your point. So what was her intent? Was her intent to like try and shame popular photographers? Or was it to like actually, like, was it performative activism?
Yeah.
And I was like, sis, you did the most and now you're gone.
Yeah.
And that's that on that.
And if you go into any comment section on YouTube or anything, there's some weird people out there. Like, not weird people, but as in the intention of people, it varies as much as there are people. As in what the purpose for why people comment on stuff. Like, but I was watching like fan videos of TV shows that I like, and so, which is so lame. I know, such a lame thing to do.
But didn't you create one for Lost? No,
Lost with the Roswell theme. Shout out to anybody who watches TV in the early 2000s. But I was watching fan videos, but then there's a lot of the times every fan video I watch, it'll always be a sob story like, oh, this reminds me of my wife. She died of cancer last year, and they go into their whole life story. I was like, what is going on? You know, and so I'm not saying that person had malicious intent or that they were trying to seek attention. I'm saying people are people, and it's weird out there. It's weird out there, y'all. So stay safe.
People think it's weird. Like, in reality, it is much more weirder on the interwebs. But that's why I'm on the interwebs. The intergalactic space of the interwebs. That's me.
For this hemisphere.
Oh, what about the siren composer?
The siren composer, Josh 685. People were calling him out on how he replied to someone's DM. And I was like, he's a kid. So that's how he responded. He's only 16, 17 years old. Oh, well.
Yeah, but that does add to the argument of call-out culture being a mob mentality, and it comes to the intent, especially these people trying to call him out. It's like, what are you expecting him to do? Say sorry to you?
But how I understand and how I interpreted the situation was that when it came to asking Jason Derulo to credit the song, there was so many people behind him, and they were all like, Jason Derulo credit, Jason Derulo credit, Jason Derulo credit. And then when it came to an instance of a post or like a DM where somebody wanted to ask where he gets particular sirens sound from, I think that's what the argument was.
Something.
Like, to be honest, I understand the situation being in a place where people are constantly asking you for something, which I understand. That's probably one out of like 500, 1,000 maybe messages that he gets, which that other people don't see, and you got him at a bad day.
Yeah.
But then that went viral.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say it went viral, but it went across the interwebs, and Mans apologized.
Oh, did he apologize?
Did he say sorry?
Oh.
Yeah.
But for me,
I didn't even think he needed to say sorry.
No, I didn't think so either. Like, I get that people could have interpreted it as rude, but I mean, you can't hear tone. Like, don't know where he was. Like you were saying, could have had a bad day or whatever. And he didn't swear at the person. All he said was, Like, oh, I don't want to help or something. And he said, I don't think you have the passion for the work.
Which is, you know what? If that's very disheartening.
That is none of the truth. Yeah. That's true.
Like, if you're somebody that's trying to make songs,
if I rooted for you and I campaign to get you, for you to get credit, and then you.
But at the same time, if I was that person receiving that message, do better than him.
Yeah.
Like, hone your craft, do better, thrive, and then show him, like, prove them wrong.
And then if you don't, it means he's right. And you don't have the passion for the work.
You should just keep your day job. Like, I think that's what it means.
Not at all. If you don't, then sometimes the universe just doesn't work the way you want it to work.
You're meant for other things. So Loretta Ross, who's a human rights activist, she wrote, "Callout culture is performance activism, not real activism." So sometimes people, they want to appear like they're woke or that they're for the cause, and they post all these things, but what are you actually doing? Hence
my photographer, not my friend, but photographer lady on the interwebs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There are people. Are you actually putting in the work? Are you helping to spread awareness within your own circles, your own community? Like, what are you actually doing on the ground? And there's an awesome IG page for anyone else there who wants to follow called She Is Not Your Rehab. And he had written, "Love calls people forward instead of calling people out." And so the example that he used was, I'll read the disclaimer, because he works with incarcerated men, and his whole thing is about leaning in and giving people the space to be able to redeem themselves or to find redemption, to change and whatnot. And so his disclaimer is, in this context, I'm talking about a way I work with men to encourage potentially a different way of society or agencies engaging with these types of men. I'm not writing this to encourage anyone to stay in an intimate relationship with someone harming them. As a child survivor of domestic violence, I hoped and wished for many years that my mother would leave my father. But I still wished and hoped that while my father was incarcerated, he could have received the help and healing we as a family needed. This would have required a huge shift in the way agencies and society engaged with him. Back then, it was sadly not a reality, but now I am committed to the type of work I do with men to call them forward versus calling them out. It's a radical shift. That resonated with me. Like, looking into my own family dynamics and how I felt the exact same way. For such a long time, I wish that my dad had gotten help for a lot of the domestic violence that was going on in our home. But at the same time, wanting my mum to leave the situation. So the whole thing that I love that resonated with me was calling people forward versus calling them out. So calling people to change, but that involves relationship.
Yeah.
That involves you
allowing them space.
Yeah, allowing them space. Yeah. But sometimes when you're in such a hurt place, when you're, the whole thing, victim versus survivor, your survivor still meaning that you went through a whole bunch of shiz in order to survive. So the whole thing of when you're in a hurt place, the only thing you want to do is you want it to stop. You want to call the person out. You want them to be held accountable. But I love that he humanizes people, which is the whole thing of seeing a perpetrator, seeing someone who is harming others, seeing them as a human and like holding them accountable, of course.
Yeah.
But giving them space to change. And I think that was the whole difference, which is a radical shift.
Yeah.
What do you think of that? Humanizing.
That's hard.
It's very hard to do. But if I think about my foundation, when it comes to my testimony, like my testimony is built on the acts of kindness from Jesus Christ. And I think about how he didn't care for status or any sort of social bearings when it came to people. He loved the people that nobody wanted to associate themselves with. And I feel like as hard as it is, that example for me really shines out the most when it comes to my testimony. So I can try my best, and I'm willing to try to implement that. But at the same time, it's very hard. Yeah.
What do you think about humanizing somebody who is still unwilling to change? They remain in that state. Because we're talking about human people, like he talks about calling people forward to change. I was like, that expresses somewhat of a willingness of that person to change. What about humanizing them even when they haven't changed?
So when we say they haven't changed, like, how do we know? Have they verbalized that they don't want to change?
Let's just say, take that in that scenario, as in they're still like abusive or they're still racist, whatever it is. They're still doing those things. How do you feel about humanizing that person?
Like, you can still humanize somebody, but at the same time, like, there are consequences to your actions at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So no matter what you do, and if you don't want to change, just know that there are going to be consequences that will follow after. Not
there
change.
has to be there has to be some kind of healing. Like, healing has to be had for the person that has been assaulted, as well as the person who has committed the assault. Because a lot of the time, people who commit assaults, there is a lot of things that have gone on with them. So, for example, a lot of rapists as well were either sexually abused as children, and hence why, or whatever time in life they were sexually abused as children or as adults, hence why they recommit those offences, and other people are harmed as well. The whole thing of you have to be held accountable, justice has to be done, but at the same time, mercy still has to be given where, like, for them to change. But it's so hard.
It's hard.
Because I think about it in situations where there is domestic violence. Yeah, I get what you mean. There needs to be healing on from both parties. That's definitely true. But in a situation where it's just a difference of opinion in regards to something like racism, though racism does manifest itself in very physically harmful ways. Yeah. In the situation where a person just doesn't change, are you able to humanize a racist person but for holding those views?
Of course, I feel like you can.
You can.
You need to, like,
what does that look like?
At the end of the day, people are going to have their own opinions. Just because, and like we were talking about earlier before, just because you have a separate opinion doesn't mean you're any less than a human than yourself. There's just differences of opinions.
I just think that's a hard place. That's between a rock and a hard place when you're in that sort of situation, trying to humanize somebody.
I think sometimes when we humanize people, like, not everyone is totally evil and not everyone is totally good. Yeah. A lot of us have, when it comes to normal people, they have a balance of both. But when it comes to people where, like, you know, for example, there are certain people that we hold up in history that we say, oh, they are pure evil. In some cases, they were loved by someone because they did have some kind of good in them. It's just that those evil acts, they will always be defined as that, or it kind of like outweighed sometimes the good that they did do. Yeah. In my mind, when it comes to, like, domestic, physical abuse, sexual abuse, any of those kind of types of abuse is just a very tough thing to kind of navigate, especially if the person is still physically violent, if they're still sexually assaulting. I'm just like, oh, contact the authorities. Yeah. Humanize them in the sense that they can receive help, that they can change, but that does not mean that you have to stay in relationship with them.
Definitely, yeah.
I do advise get out or talk to a professional about something that you can do to be able to receive help, but humanizing them in that sense of, oh, you get help, but I'm not going to be your rehab. Like, I'm not going to be the one to change you. Go get help from a professional. Any other thoughts?
I was just going to say, like what you were saying, like, people are just a product of their environments. Not everyone's going to agree with you. Yeah. I feel like growing up, it was very prevalent in my upbringing as a gay person. You know, not everybody agreed when I came out, but at the same time, it doesn't mean just because they didn't agree that I dehumanize them in any sense. Yeah. That's just a difference of opinion. They grew up with their own upbringing, their own environment, and I understand that. Like, I'm not going to treat them any less. It's just, it is what it is. At the end of the day, sometimes people aren't willing to change, and they're not willing to change. That's okay, because I have my family. I have my own people that I rely on. Like, you don't have to constantly see that person or people. So, yeah.
All right, so the game is, these are today's hot hits. You can go to your Spotify, Hot Hits of Australia. And so what will happen is I will play the song. If you can guess the title and the artist, extra points. You get 2 points. If you can only guess the title, 1 point. If you can only guess the artist, 1 point.
I'm going to fail. I do not know anything about today's music.
No.
Unless it's from TikTok.
Guys, don't underestimate yourself.
Are these from TikTok?
I think a lot of the hot hits are because of TikTok. So a lot of them become popular because people want to do the trend and do
I got the
dance?
first song.
Okay. Actually, that was going to be the first song. Change the plan. Change the plan. Okay, are you ready?
So what do we have to do? The same as last week? Are we doing our sounds or?
Yes. So, Sefa, you will do the horse. Can you do practice? Okay, awesome. Sounds like the horse has hay fever. And Shalama, you will do your jungle kitty.
Which has changed now. Oh. She has evolved like a Pokemon.
Okay, let's hear the sound.
So she gone from like, now she's like, yes.
Okay, wait. That's AO. It sounded kind of like R18. So
What? I was like, yes.
Wait, do it one more time.
Okay, so, I can do.
Okay, cool. Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah, go.
The first song is...
We can take it high.
Shalama?
Is it Doja Cat?
No. Sefa?
Can you keep playing the song?
Okay.
Hear the thunder coming from your mouth, and I know.
That voice is iconic. Come on. Sefa?
Alicia Cara?
No!
Oh, I don't know.
Listen to the voice. You should know this voice.
All my numbers up, give me some Stevie Wonder. Click, put it on before we go under. I can't see the lightning coming from your ears.
I don't know. I don't know who this
I don't know who
is.
this is.
Do we
Clue,
guess?
She's Aussie.
Oh, I know.
Who?
Samantha Jade.
I know.
Who, Sefa?
Delta Good Drum.
No,
She's
is it-
Aussie.
You know what? I'm getting hiccup for some reason.
Oh, just come out, boy.
This is making me angry.
Wait.
Australian?
Is
Yeah,
it just come out,
Samantha
boy?
Jade's Australian.
Samantha Jade is not even known within all of Australia. Who? Just come. This
Just
is
Come
not
Out Boy?
Just Come Out Boy.
Who else is there? Wait, hang on.
Holly Valance.
This person is known globally. This person
Kylie
is known
Minogue.
globally.
Kylie Minogue.
Oh, I know. Tones and I.
One more.
Billy.
See the lion sleeps tonight, and the tears you're crying.
I love this song.
Ooh, can't love me unless you love.
I don't know.
No.
I'm sorry.
Wait, can you put another clue?
Can we give us clues?
What's another clue?
I was gonna say she's white.
Is she white?
Yeah, she's white.
Beck Cartwright.
No, she's not. She has like literal hits, like globally, Billboard
Australian.
hits. and
Iggy
things. Aussie,
Azalea.
no. Oh no! Come on.
Was she on The Voice or X Factor or something?
She was like she wasn't one of the main judges on The Voice, but I think
Is it Missy Higgins?
No, that's not Missy.
I
Oh,
know.
wait. The Veronicas.
Wait, can we listen?
I've
That was
played it
also-
like
yeah.
4 times.
Yeah.
Since we
It's
can't
not
get
gonna happen.
copyright.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen. I don't know what it is. I don't know.
Her name is Sia.
Oh,
Songs together, you put me off. Shut up.
Sia.
Okay, you ready for the
Oh,
next
that's
one?
very. Oh, no,
That's a good song,
yeah.
eh?
That's a good song.
Wow, this is very explicit.
I said certified free.
Oh, I know.
No, I
Wait, he didn't make the noise.
I did.
Sefa made the noise.
Doja Cat.
Now, shut up
I
now.
don't know what it is. I forgot the voice by the time it came around.
Is it Cardi B?
Cardi
WAP?
B? Yes, Cardi B, Meg Stallion, WAP. Awesome.
No,
so it's just 1 point, or 2 points, because he knew the artist and the singer.
Okay.
I won.
Next one. Are you ready?
Can we at least know the artist? Do songs that we at least will know the
You
artist.
should know this artist.
Oh,
Sefa, you did the noise.
Megan Trainor?
No, shut up now.
I've always been the one to say the
I know.
Jungle Kitty.
Dua Lipa.
Yes, very good.
Dang
Do you know
it.
the song?
Don't start now.
No. But you got the singer. Dua Lipa. Very good.
Wait. Is it Is it? I was always wondering why.
Oh, that's wrong. So, no.
One more chance, please. Please, buddy,
You've got the artist. You've got the artist.
Okay.
I wonder if this is as painful to play as it is to listen to.
For real.
No, I can't believe you guys couldn't get Sia. I heard Sefa.
Lady Gaga and Ariana Grande. Rain on Me.
Very good.
Yes.
Yes.
So
Claps for doing the bare minimum.
3-2.
Hey.
3-2.
Wait, 3. Oh, yeah, he got 3. He
Yeah.
at least got the artist.
Sefa.
The song's called Rover. Mm-hmm. It's by Simba, but spelled with a 1.
Very good. So now it's 4-3.
Whoa. Is this the
Coming
decider?
up on the world. This is the decider. Last one. Shalama.
That's Doja Cat.
What's the name of the song?
That is I'm a bitch. I'm boss bitch.
Very good. So at the end, Lamah won 5, Sefa 4.
Boo.
Very good. Super close. Can I say, for some reason, I'm still annoyed you guys didn't get Sia.
Look,
I'm
you know
not
what?
gonna
I
get
was just
Sia.
like, oh my, she's iconic. Aussie.
I understand that, but when it comes to a successful Australian
There's
artist,
so many.
there is the one, Sia. And we still don't get it. And sorry, Kylie Minogue as well.
globally.
I had to put
No,
Kylie
you
Minogue
could
on
have
there.
said, like, better clues.
Yeah.
Like
What do you mean better
Wig,
clues? I'm like, listen to the effing voice.
Wig,
Listen
Paige.
to the voice. Oh my god.
Chandelier.
That's obvious.
Chandelier.
That is not subtle at all.
You could have said
Elastic Heart.
she performs live backwards.
She's not known for her face.
See, I would have gotten that right away,
Yeah,
but
but
your
that's
clues.
too many clues.
Your clues were subpar.
I would have known from the voice. And on next week's episode,
Thank you for listening to another episode. I'm Sefa.
I'm Sila.
I am everybody's favorite songstress, seamstress, mistress, and mattress of this generation. Lamah.
Now Jungle Kitty
Has a
sounds like-
hairball.
Now Jungle Kitty has corona.
Has,
That's what happened.
has conjunctivitis.
Yeah, I'm Jungle Kitty. Ooh, la, 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 la.
Say born, say born.
Don't you go to lie. You can take my snatch, drag it up, pull it up, bring it more, take it to the ball. I'm Jungle